New York City, 1990s. A glittering hub of finance, where fortunes are made, dreams are built, and trust is the currency of the realm. At the center of this world stood Bernard Madoff, a Wall Street titan who promised wealth but delivered ruin. This is the untold story of how one man masterminded the largest Ponzi scheme in history, deceiving the rich and powerful, and leaving behind a trail of shattered lives. The rise of a Wall Street wizard. Bernard Lawrence Madoff was born on April 29, 1938, in Queens, New York. The son of modest Jewish parents, Madoff grew up in a working-class neighborhood, far removed from the opulent world of Wall Street. But from a young age, Bernie had one defining trait: ambition. In 1960, armed with just $5,000 he had saved from lifeguarding and installing sprinklers, Madoff founded Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities. His firm initially focused on market making, a legitimate business that connected buyers and sellers. By the 1970s, Madoff had embraced new technologies, using computer algorithms to gain an edge in trading. This innovation earned him respect in financial circles, and his firm became one of the largest on Wall Street. What set Madoff apart wasn't just his business acumen, it was his charisma. Bernie was a smooth talker, exuding confidence and trustworthiness. To his clients, he wasn't just an investor, he was a magician who always delivered returns, rain or shine. But behind the charm was a darker secret, one that would take decades to unravel. The birth of the Ponzi empire. By the late 1980s, Madoff had built a reputation as a financial wizard. His investment fund promised consistent, double-digit returns, regardless of market conditions. Clients included celebrities, charities, universities, and even sophisticated financial institutions. But here's the shocking truth. Madoff's success wasn't real. His entire operation was a lie. Madoff was running a Ponzi scheme, a fraudulent investment strategy where returns for older investors are paid using the capital of new investors. There was no magic algorithm, no secret formula, just a cycle of deception. As long as money kept flowing in, the scheme stayed afloat. But the moment withdrawals exceeded new deposits, the entire operation would collapse. The genius of Madoff's scam lay in its simplicity. He created an aura of exclusivity, convincing clients that his fund was so elite, they were lucky to invest. This scarcity tactic made people eager to hand over their money. And it worked. By the early 2000s, Madoff's firm was managing billions of dollars. The illusion of success. Madoff's scheme wasn't just about money, it was about image. He cultivated a persona of a philanthropic, family-oriented man. He served as chairman of the NASDAQ stock exchange and was deeply involved in charity work. These roles added to his credibility, making it unthinkable that he could be a fraud. His offices in the Lipstick Building in Manhattan were a symbol of his success. But here's a chilling detail. The Ponzi scheme operated on a separate floor, isolated from the legitimate side of his business. Employees working on the fraud were sworn to secrecy, and some later claimed they didn't fully understand the scope of the deception. Madoff's victims included some of the wealthiest and most powerful people in the world. But it wasn't just billionaires who lost everything. Middle-class families, retirees, and charities were also devastated. One heartbreaking story involves the Elie Wiesel Foundation for Humanity, which lost over $15 million. For many, Madoff wasn't just a financial advisor, he was a trusted friend who betrayed them. The collapse of the empire. The financial crisis of 2008 was the beginning of the end for Bernard Madoff. As markets crashed, panicked investors began withdrawing their funds. For decades, Madoff had managed to maintain the illusion of stability, but now the withdrawals far exceeded the inflow of new money. On December 10, 2008, Bernie confessed to his sons, Mark and Andrew, that his investment firm was a complete fraud. The next day, they reported him to the authorities. On December 11, Madoff was arrested by the FBI, bringing an end to the largest Ponzi scheme in history. The total losses were staggering. An estimated $65 billion vanished into thin air. The fallout and the victims' Madoff's arrest sent shockwaves through the financial world. Thousands of investors were left with nothing, their life savings wiped out. The betrayal was deeply personal for many. One tragic example is René Thierry Magon de la Ville-Houchet. a French financier who lost $1.4 billion of his clients' money. Unable to cope with the shame and loss, he took his own life. But the damage wasn't confined to his victims. Madoff's family also paid a heavy price. His son Mark committed suicide in 2010, unable to escape the stigma of his father's actions. Andrew, who died of cancer in 2014, spent his final years distancing himself from the scandal. Even Ruth Madoff, Bernie's wife, became a pariah, losing almost everything. The Legacy of Deceit. In 2009, Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison, the maximum penalty allowed by law. During his trial, he expressed regret, but for many, his apologies rang hollow. He spent his final years in a federal prison, where he died in 2021 at the age of 82. Madoff's legacy is a stark reminder of the dangers of greed and unchecked ambition. His scheme didn't just destroy lives, it exposed the vulnerabilities of the financial system. In the wake of the scandal, regulators introduced new safeguards to prevent similar frauds. But for many victims, the damage was irreversible. Epilogue, New York City, years later. The financial world has moved on, but the scars of Madoff's betrayal remain. His name has become synonymous with greed and deceit, a cautionary tale for investors everywhere. Bernard Madoff wasn't just a fraudster. He was a master manipulator who exploited trust to build an empire of lies. His story serves as a chilling reminder that in the world of finance, even the brightest stars can cast the darkest shadows. The question that lingers is this: how many more Madoffs are out there waiting to be unmasked? If you'd like to uncover more unknown stories, let us know by hitting that subscribe button and joining the journey. Was this unfamiliar to you? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. Stay tuned.